Let's get it. What up, everyone? Happy Tuesday, familia. Vibes are strong.
What's up, guys? Golden Spiral Resell, John Wilkins. John already coming in with a question here. He said, what is FC processing? Ooh. So, John, that is when you send your products to FBA and Amazon is in the process of moving them around to different fulfillment centers. So during that process, your inventory is not going to be available for sale. People can still buy it technically, but you're probably not going to be in the buy box for a number of reasons. But basically, when your inventory lands at a fulfillment center at its final destination, then it'll become available and customers will start buying it.
Yep, that was a good answer, Corey. Very professional of you.
Thank you, sir.
You believe?
What's up, guys?
Only ASD is only 2 months away.
I know. I was talking about that with someone today. Yeah, it really, really is.
Absolutely flying. Cool, sweet. So yeah, guys, any questions y'all got? Let us know. Warner's on a cruise. He's enjoying himself, so we're holding up and such. And then I think Garrett was grilling yesterday, so that's why we didn't have Money Mondays. What were you grilling yesterday, Garrett?
Oh yeah, vibes were high.
Oh, good. Okay, at the lake.
Just at the crib. Yeah, some burgers, some barbecue. Yeah, vibes are good.
Vibes are good. Okay. Yeah, I mean, what more could you ask for, man? What more?
Dude, I'm telling you, these like outdoor holidays are just goated. Like all time goated. July 4th, yep. Memorial Day.
4th of July.
Miles the type of dude to not grill out anything with the squad.
Dude, I remember on 4th of July 2022, I did 5 calls in a row during the afternoon. That was the only time I've ever done the 12 to 5 challenge. That was the only time I've ever done it. I might have to run that back, honestly. How do I find a great prep center? Yeah, good question. So the easiest way, in my opinion, is going to be a referral within the community, right? So from like, another seller you're talking to and such. If not, the best way to find it is going to be doing outreach and vetting your prep center correctly. Like what thoughts do you guys have on questions you should ask a prep center to vet them?
So my main thing when it comes to prep centers is making sure they're going to be good communicators, right? That's where prep center relationships break down, is when they just don't respond to you. So that's when I ask hey, am I going to be assigned like an account rep or an account manager? Same thing with my wholesale suppliers. I want to have a point of contact, right? I want to know who I can talk to. Other thing is going to be just asking them what do they do when problems arise, whether you get damaged product or short product or whatever. Are they going to proactively let you know, or do you kind of need to ask them? A lot of these more nuanced questions that good prep centers are going to have answers to.
You also want to ask about any sort of volume increases, right? So that motivates you to scale and grow, like any sort of discounts for pricing as you hit certain quantity tiers. You want to ask about any sort of miscellaneous fees, right? A lot of prep centers are sort of sketchy in terms of maybe a receiving fee or an inspection fee or something like that, and they just happen to show up on the invoice. You want to make sure that what you think you're going to pay is what you're actually going to pay per unit. No box fees, stuff like that, some weird stuff like that. Corey kind of hit it, right? You want to make sure that there's a channel to problem solve, especially in the OA space, the inevitable problems that are going to come up. Missed quantities, missed products, different sizes, colors, etc. There's a lot of things that are going to come. And so that back and forth communication is going to be pretty huge. So establish price point, establish any sort of volume discounts. And then again, problem solving is going to be the big one.
Let's take a quick second and shout out our boy Vince here. So he said, I just placed a 6K wholesale order. Out of all the Amazon YouTubers, y'all's crew is flat out the best. That's awesome, Ben. So tell us how that order came about. Was that from a distributor? Was it from a brand? How did you find them? Share some game with the crew here and kind of let everyone know how you did that. That's awesome. That's love.
That's your
Vince.
Good job.
Yeah, that's your first wholesale order too. That's huge.
Okay, this is a good one here. How can I get faster / better at purchasing inventory? I find myself debating a lot when things are in my cart and constantly looking for coupons or discounts before pulling the trigger. So you're doing exactly the right things. You should be constantly looking for coupons and discounts prior to pulling the trigger. And the key is that over time, the best discount mechanisms for certain websites, right? And you have advanced feedback loops. So for example, for any of you guys watching this, that might be checking with some of your friends, right? Or checking with other people you're working with on this stuff, right? Because the faster you can get feedback on purchases, the better. And most beginner sellers have to wait weeks before they get feedback on purchases. And most advanced sellers get feedback in 17 minutes because their friend vets the product in the group chat. Or roast someone, says that link sucks, or checks out on a bunch because that link's awesome. If we're being honest, though, that's the way it works, though.
That's
you
a
know,
fact, yeah,
that is the
for
way it
sure.
works. Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
What up,
Yeah, you
Justin?
want to think about like all your discounting methods. It's pretty much like your toolbox, right? The more ways you learn, the bigger and the better and the more valuable your toolbox has. And like print out and have a running sheet next to your computer. Discount gift cards, sales cycles, coupon codes, obviously no sales tax, FBM, right? You have a lot of things, 8, 9, 10, 15 different things that you can do, levers you can pull to make something from 20 to 17 or 20 to 18 or 20 to 16, depending on how much you need. Right. And so you should have a list and a running list of all the different mechanisms that you can start to use to make something cheaper. Same thing with your order cancellation, right? There's all different processes and different trial and error things that you can start to work through to make sure that order gets through if you're having issues with that.
What were your thoughts on the wedding Wi-Fi?
Hard, right?
Yeah.
Hard, right? Question.
You like getting the tuxedo on, man?
Dude, I thought the wedding was fun. I thought it was cool.
Getting the drip.
Weddings usually are.
Yeah, it was a
Fun
good
and
time.
cool.
It was a good time. Miles, what did you think about the wedding?
I already gave my thoughts. We had the full recap episode. Yeah, I already gave my thoughts.
The pictures came out great.
Dude,
Yeah.
the pictures were really good. Garrett sent me a couple that I hadn't seen before. That
The photographer was loving some Korean and shorty action.
Why? Yeah, why? I
Smart,
don't know.
wholesale distribution or brand. 1,500 is really, really low. Ooh, here we go. Yes, sir. The way I found it was long sourcing hours. I negotiated a 10% Memorial Day discount and FBA labeling fee, so they'll prep it for me and ship it straight to Amazon. I hyped. Fantastic work, Vince. And that's the thing.
Awesome.
Vince did that all with no profile or with an anonymous profile picture. Like that's way harder to do.
Also,
Such a good job.
negotiating a Memorial Day discount with a wholesale distributor is like unheard of. Like that's not even a thing. So like,
Oh,
good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, Wi-Fi. What are some of the ways you found to get discounts wholesale wise?
Dude, money talks.
Yep.
That's that has to be the biggest one. If you can buy more, pay more, they will give you a larger discount.
And
And
just
if-
asking like that line that we mention all the time. It's like, how many units do I need to buy to get X price, right? And if it's in any way possible, if it's within the realm of possibility for them to meet that price, they're going to give you a number of units that you need to buy to get that price. If that price is like below their cost, if it's totally impossible, they're going to tell you. They're not going to like try to be like, negotiate around that. They're like, listen, either we can do that price and it's going to be this number of units, or we can't do that price because it's lower than our price, right? So I love that line. That's worked so many times.
Do you have a candle going, Wi-Fi?
What'd you say?
Do you have a candle going?
Yeah.
That's peaceful. That's a vibe. You see it in the back. Someone's
That's a
private
nice little
label.
backdrop. Yeah.
Someone's private label candle. Yeah.
Yeah. When I move, unfortunately, I have to move. I may try and do the 9-figure exit backdrop with like a bookshelf and some shit on it.
Ooh.
That would go hard.
That
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
go.
that would be nice.
That would go hard. Is Prep Center the way to go? Because I was thinking about renting a warehouse next month. It depends what state you live in, Edward, but unless you live in like Delaware, New Hampshire, Oregon, or Montana, you should almost certainly go Prep Center. Or like New Jersey or Pennsylvania, some of those states where candle while working is the way to go. Yeah, nice and cozy and such here as well. What are the best websites to get ungated in multiple things at once? Keep seeing things about Target and Kohl's when getting mixed up. Yeah, Dalton, the cool thing is all big websites work. So yeah, I mean, those are going to be great ones to use. It just, the weird part about that, guys, is that they decline pretty often. It's like you're going to get declined a couple times naturally. It's just part of, doing ungating. You just got to keep it moving, resubmit the same info, and you'll be approved eventually. It's just like an automated system for whatever reason.
And so this question earlier, Miles, you kind of touched on it when someone asked like, hey, is $1,500 enough capital to start wholesale with? And you were like, it's way too low. And I agree, way too low. If you only have $1,500, do online arbitrage, do retail arbitrage. However, it's not impossible to start wholesale with $1,500. I've seen people do it, but your chances of success are so much higher with wholesale if you can start with like 5 to 10K is kind of the sweet spot.
And you also have the whole learning curve of just selling on Amazon. So if you're going to fuck that up, you rather fuck it up with like a few $100s in buy costs rather than 10,000 or all of it on some wholesale products. All right.
Oh, speaking of which, how's George feeling? How's our homie feeling?
Oh, he's fine now.
He's back? He's back?
He's back. Yeah, so I'll be able to pick him up and give him a full revival tour today. to the
Wi-Fi
camera.
hasn't seen the George toss.
Yes, we might have to get one in.
No,
there.
I've seen a video of you like dropping him before.
Yeah.
That video is so good.
Yeah.
Where Miles' face is like,
yeah. I look.
No,
I may have been watching that live actually.
That might have
That
been
was
the
a fun
first
one.
the first weekly Monday. Yeah.
That was early on, and I think like Danny Sordo is the one that clipped that, and like he posted on Twitter right away.
That shit was lit. Yeah, that shit was lit.
Yeah,
That just shows up on CNN. The
Man,
YouTube
And
Corey
dog,
Gainer.
streamer like
Corey's
publicized
getting
ankle
arrested for
abuse.
that
Yeah.
I wish it would. That'd be no such thing as bad publicity, right?
Animal
I mean,
animal
I'm all for
harassment.
it.
What's up? There's a pair of
Animal
Adidas shoes that I found. Would it be a good idea to pick up all the sizes? Mauricio, I'm not quite sure that's going to be profitable, man. 22 to 40 might not be profitable. It probably won't. It should be a little bit lower ROI with all the fees and stuff. Maybe if you're no tax and they're really light, so you can FBM them. Oh yeah.
I was just gonna answer it. Most times, if you see a listing where everyone's FBM, there's a reason. Either it's hazmat, meltable, it's a super big. All right, there's a lot of smart people on Amazon. If you see a listing where every single person's FBM, there's likely a reason. So I'll just double check, make sure everything, you check all your boxes, make sure you can actually sell it. But yeah, in theory, if you are the FBA seller joining an FBM market, you should be able to bump it up a couple notches.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good pro tip too in general. If you're looking at a Keep It chart and you're seeing the buy box jumping up, price it a little bit higher. You know, see where you can get some of that higher buy box share and lock in some extra profit for pretty much no extra work.
Chris Grant's spot on. That's exactly what I can see the headline now. Amazon scalper abuses dogs.
Chris has been on
every
fire.
Karen in the country.
Last week and
is
this week,
up and
his
on.
banter has been A+.
How often should I adjust my repricer settings? So if and only if a listing isn't getting sales and your pricing is the driver of that, right? Because it might be that listing just doesn't sell super often, or it might be that you sent that inventory in 2 weeks ago and it's still an FC transfer for whatever reason and such. Jesse, Jesse, good to see you in here, family. I think you're a new face, so we're excited to have you on the squad here.
But Jesse, getting going, especially in your first 4 to 6 months, you should be super cognizant and aware of all your listings, right? It's not going to be probably a very big catalog. You should be pretty in tune with how each of your ASINs is doing and be monitoring if any ASINs going days, no more than 2 or 3 weeks without a sale. You should be making some adjustments, right? But in the beginning of your business, you should be really micromanaging as much as possible across the category, across your catalog while it's possible. Take advantage of the smallness of your catalog to really be able to monitor what's going on.
Is the West Coast the best coast? No, you're 3 hours behind. That should say everything you need to know.
So DJ question, he said he lives in Brazil. He can only operate an OA business and with margins or with ROI 20-25% because the cost. Is it possible to scale with a low ROI? So DJ, I would kind of even reframe that. 20 to 25% ROI is really not that bad. I mean, for OA, it's a little on the low end.
It's low, yeah, for OA.
But in general, think of how many other businesses can you get a 20 to 25% return on investment on your money in 60 to 90 days, right? Which is typically how long the sales cycle is and payout cycle with Amazon. So again, possible, yes. Are there other avenues? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's up to you and kind of what your goal is, right?
Yep.
Not even just businesses. There's no legal investments that are going to net even 15% guaranteed return in a couple of months.
Not that the Amazon stuff's guaranteed, but you guys get the idea. And that know, if it's got historical sales history, there's no reason why the offer count would shoot up. It's probably around there. I list a product and I get a compliance requirement. What should I do? Let someone else on the listing deal with it. Very conveniently, scenarios like that, it's pretty much just our other people. If there's other people on listing, someone else typically deals with it. That happens on a lot of backpack listings for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think it's like children's. It's like a kid's product.
The first 6 to 12 months, the cool thing is you're going to be in such an aggressive growth stage. Your learning, your education, your development's always going to be outpacing probably your spending power. So if you're thinking about setting budgets, you're probably thinking about it too much, right? Just keep the foot on the pedal, spend as much as you can, keep looping, keep turning that money, and then you'll be okay. That's a years down the line sort of situation when you're trying to manage that money and really
if you're the only one on the listing, sell out and delete the listing. 8+ months. 8+ months is a while to wait for something to sell, man. It sounds like some of these listings you're buying might have been like very easy to find. You know what I mean? How quick do you think with the 154 and 1%? It depends how quick the listing is moving. All right, we lost Wi-Fi. Depends how quick the listing overall, like that specific variation is moving. Mauricio, because sales rank is by listing, not by variation, but keep a chart is specific to the size and color combination. So it depends how good that keep a chart looks. And the cool thing is, that shows me that you're, newer seller. Test nice and light FBM, and especially if it's FBM friendly, you'll get some sales.
This view is poverty. You gotta switch it.
Huh? Oh, the all-in podcast view.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So much cleaner.
Yeah, if you're the, what should be the first step / videos to start to do FBA? Yeah, so the cool thing is you're in the right place. So watch some of our videos. My free course is a really good place to start. If you just look up Flips for Miles free course, I'll drop a link to it too. And such, that's like an hour and a half. That'll get you up to speed nice and quick on like all the basics and stuff.
If I'm the only one on the listing, what should I do? I mean, it's probably a good thing if there's a history of the brand being on listing or one particular seller over the course of the listing. Probably shouldn't stay on there super long, but it's all about the history, right? Is it a private label? Is it an exclusive with the brand? Is it the brand? Those are the three snares that could potentially jeopardize your account health. But if it's something where it's like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, and you're the only one on the listing, game on, run it up.
Price high too. Yeah, not in regards to the compliance requests, I believe, but regardless, yeah. If you're like just sell out the listing and keep them in.
Well, and to add on to that point, the person who asked about if you're the only seller on the listing. So you're like, there's going to be situations where you're tempted to kind of get greedy and price super high, right? Like maybe the product normally sells at around $50 and you're like, oh, I can make sales at $80. However, you're going to probably kill the sales rank of that listing. So you want to kind of find the sweet spot of like, how high can I price without killing the demand? And it might take some experimentation of adjusting your price by $5, $10 at a time. But when you find that sweet spot of, hey, I can make a really good margin and still sell a lot of units and be the only one on the listing, that's a great position to be in.
A lot of times the buy box is a good indication of where that price point is, right? Because you're going to see the buy box oscillation, but there's going to be a certain point on a lot of listings where it gets suppressed because it's too high. And so typically, right, if I'm the only one on the listing and I'm kind of judging and trying to understand where to price, it's typically where the highest buy box price has been historically on that listing. And that's typically a decent starting point from an aggressive standpoint. The invisible hand of the market will bitch that you provide.
Exactly. I mean, listen, that's kind of how the buy box suppression algorithm works, right? Like if you price too high, Amazon's going to suppress that buy box because someone somewhere else on the internet is offering that product at a lower price. Hence, the market is not going to justify the price that you priced at.
Did we answer this one from Dalton yet here?
I don't think so, no.
Cool. Okay. Opinions on buying profitable products before you're ungated. It's really the only way to do it, Dalton. Just because you don't get ungated first. You find a good product, then you use the order confirmation email from that product to ungate. So pretty much, yeah. Now, can I guarantee you'll get approved on your first submission of the documents? Definitely not. It's going to take a couple submissions. It's completely normal. Just kind of trust us talking heads on the internet that who have literally no reason to tell you the wrong thing and such. So yeah. Nike's still ungating people. So not currently new sellers. They did that with Adidas and Disney as well. They've since overturned it. So I think they will with Nike as well. But yeah, not right now.
Good questions though, guys. Keep them coming.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of good questions today.
I'm telling you, Miles is on one today. Someone.
100 and price and true. I will get the item pulled complete. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you get like the featured offered eligibility. Like, if you're very rarely will you be the only seller on a listing, right? However, from time to time you will be, and in that case, it's a great opportunity to raise your price. You just obviously can't go too high. So look at where the item sold historically, at the peaks and such. I'm doing FBM to scale up. Typically, how many ASINs should I be expecting to make good profits per day? It's not really about how many ASINs you have, although that is an important thing as a beginner. Like, you're not really going to get daily sales most likely until you got like 20, 25 ASINs live and such. But like, not all ASINs are created equal. Like, I've had ASINs where I've sold several hundred in one day before, but like, shoot for 1 to 2 new ASINs a day.
It's ultimately going to be depending on how much you're spending, right?
That's
Because that's
exactly
going to
what
be
I
a direct correlation to ultimately, of course, how many units you're onboarding every day, every month, every week.
Yep.
And that's going to lead to more sales.
Ooh, this is a good one here. How can you calculate / determine how many products to buy of a profitable product? Yeah, when you're a beginner, you want to test super, super light, right? There are certain formulas you can do and stuff. I'm personally not a huge fan of any of them. As a beginner, you want to be testing just a couple of things to FBM, maybe 5 to 10 of stuff to FBA, depending how confident you are in it, right? And then over time, you want to be getting feedback loops of other sellers in your network, of you having the skill of sourcing and having data on similar purchases, right? Understanding how easy to find a lead is, right? And such. So like when you're a beginner, nice thing is if it's FBM friendly, you can buy one of stuff,
And so my rule of thumb on the wholesale side is like most distributors, most brands, whoever you're buying from, they're typically going to be selling in case pack quantities. So I always like to ask the suppliers like, hey, how many comes to a case, right? And typically for products that aren't like super small or super big, it's usually like 12 units to a case. That's pretty standard. So we might buy 2 or 3 cases, 24, 36 units if it's a decent moving listing. And then once we have that sales data, once we sell through that 24 or 36 units, then we know, okay, we bought 36 units, but we sold all 36 in 2 days. Then we can kind of do some quick math and strategize on what 30 days or 45 days worth of supply looks like from there.
Miles, did you talk about FBM?
With what?
I mean, the cool thing and the luxury that FBM provides, especially as a newer seller, is that you can iterate so quickly, right? You test buy, you do curbside pickup 5 units. They sell the same day, the next day. Well, now you go back, get 10 more. Those sold. Now you're at 20. Those sold. And so you're iterating on the data without really taking any chances. You're testing small, right? 5, 10 units, a couple units. And then you're letting the markets dictate when you restock, as opposed to the person that buys 50, 100, 200 off the gate and gets burned. Right. So that if you're the people that are willing to FBM gain so much leverage, so much luxury in the sense that the market's really telling them how to act, how to move forward, and they're just simply following the directions.
How can I do my first order shipment? Watch a YouTube video on shipment creation. It's pretty easy. It's kind of hard to explain. Here, though, do you only buy from authorized distributors? Unfortunately, Andrew, there's no such thing as an authorized distributor, but don't buy from some random wholesaler that is on Telegram or Discord. You know what I mean? Like you got to vet that it's a legit company and such, and that's why we like online arbitrage, especially for beginners.
Colin, I can pretty confidently say that Miles is going to whoop both of us in basketball.
Yeah, well, Corey claims to be retired, and anyone that says they're retired, I'm gonna bust their ass. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean these days I'm trash. You would destroy me. I can't even.
Now, golf,
run.
I don't play golf. So Corey, do you play golf?
Yeah, I've been playing golf.
Corey would take the cake in golf, and I would take it in baseball and football.
That's fair.
Garrett's hand-eye coordination is really lacking.
What do you mean? I played baseball for.
I'm kidding. And then football. Obviously, we're at different positions. Like Corey's like an offensive tackle.
I'd be running back. I could see Miles being out on the receiver.
Oh, okay.
He's got them hands.
No, Corey's a tight end.
We need some addition behind
offensive
him, though.
tackle. I'm not that big. I wish I was.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
Wi-Fi behind the center, throwing dimes to us.
When starting out and building inventory, would you recommend targeting lower priced ASINs? You get more ASINs in stock versus higher priced ASINs. You're typically, when you're a new seller, not going to have the luxury of finding that much stuff profitable. Like the bottleneck is finding some stuff that's profitable when you're a newer seller and such. But if you could choose, you're absolutely right. I think that makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, it depends on how much capital you have too, right? Like typically going to be less competition on like the super higher price products. So just keep that in mind too. Somebody had a good question, Jesse. So Jesse said, like, besides the weekend where they do most of their FBA work, how can you utilize an hour during your day for your Amazon business? Basically, what should you focus on, right? Now, Jesse, my recommendation is focus on whatever it is that's going to move the needle in your business. And for pretty much every sort of Amazon business, arbitrage or wholesale, it's going to be sourcing, right? So if you only have an hour a day during your week to spend on your Amazon business, spend it buying products, right? Sourcing products. Ideally, you have a prep center that's going to handle the prep work. So if an hour of your time, if you spend an hour buying good, profitable inventory, that hour could make you $500, $1,000, $2,000 in profit, depending on the products that you're buying. So you got to think with that mentality. It's like, what is going to make me the most amount of money in that hour? And that's.
Uh-oh.
Lost Corey.
And
Okay.
that's also how you work on outsourcing too, right? You kind of evaluate what time is producing the most money and work down, right? Obviously, sourcing is more valuable than prepping. Sourcing is more valuable than reporting or restocking or repricing. Repricing and sourcing are probably the two highest valued activities in the business. But
Yep.
sorry, what were you gonna say, Miles?
You get penalized for not removing ASINs that are out of stock. Nope. You're good to go on that. You have a video for shipments. Yeah, look them up. There's a bunch of good videos on creating shipments. I have a
Can
product.
you see
that
my
is-
comment? Do
Yeah, I
they
can see it.
do they
Yeah, I can
cross
see
post across the video channels?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We'll see if we get Corey back. I found a product, but it's all FBM and only FBA. Is Amazon. Should I just FBM? Yeah, Caden tested FBM. As long as Amazon's sharing the buy box, right? That's the big thing, guys, with listings that Amazon's on. You need to make sure that they're sharing the buy box. Okay, Corey just left the stream too. That's a shame. Hopefully we get him back in here and such. But yeah, keep the questions coming, y'all.
It's been a good session.
When you find other sizes of a profitable product that are currently out of stock on Amazon, good work, Mauricio. Do you have to create a listing? It depends if they're grayed out or not showing. If they're grayed out, go to what's called the Variation Wizard on Amazon Star Central. You can find a link on Google. That's the Variation Wizard. Otherwise, you can create a listing. And remember, you used to do that all the time back in the day on those Nike skis, Garrett. Back in the day.
Oh, big time.
Good time, man. Yeah. So otherwise, create the listing. Vibes are higher on Miles's. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Skill-ish on my part. Here we go. Ooh, okay. Here we go. This is a good question. All right, let's dig in here. This is incredibly important, guys. Incredibly important here. Check this out, y'all. So, watch this. This is very, very important. So, how do you tell which variation sells best? Right here. How do you tell? Right? The key is you go here. Right? I appreciate you, Corey. So, what you want to do is you want to scroll down here. An important thing to note, guys, is that the BSR right here, this is for the entire listing, not this specific variation. However, the Kiba chart here is for the entire, or is for the specific variation, not the entire listing. So this is the one for this size here, right? And then the way you gauge performance of it is you go here and hit variations, right? And then something that almost everyone messes up is that your columns are all messed up here. So you can zap your columns around here and such.
Exactly.
This is my favorite way to have the columns so I can see all the fastest selling stuff here by filtering by reviews, right? And then I can validate that this sells quick looking at the offer count movement here.
And the other really cool thing you can do is, right, so you probably find this page based on one particular variation, right? So for example, this shoe, maybe your price is $45, right? So that's all in. That's what you know you can buy it for. The cool thing is, knowing that, you can filter out the buy boxes to only show the ones that meet your pricing criteria. So if you're buying them for 40, you probably want to sell them for like 85, 90. You can filter out and only show variations that are above 85, above 90, whatever your target requirement is, and filter out that way. And so your next iteration will be, okay, these all work price point wise. Now I have to authenticate which ones work based on velocity, right? You're looking at that offer count, you're looking at the reviews, all those sorts of things, just to authenticate the pricing works, the velocity works, and then it's game on from there.
A really important thing though, guys, is don't just look at review count. The offer count movement is way more important here because listings have been around for different amounts of time. So like so many people will see something and be like, it only has 2 reviews. It can't be good, but the listing's been around for 120 days, which means it actually is really good. Right? So everyone, doing Keepa stuff here, you guys should pause this and go organize your columns similar to mine here so that you can easily see stuff that actually moves here. Like this clearly sells here. Right? But
And
it also
also,
has 3
too,
reviews.
Like the logic behind sorting by the number of ratings. So people might think, well, like, why do ratings matter when we're looking at what sells well and what doesn't? Well, if you think about it logically, the variations that have the most ratings and the most reviews are typically going to be the ones that sell best.
Yep.
Obviously, there's nuance to it, like Miles said, when it comes to newer listings. But that's the thought process, right? Is like if you're looking at a variation and you see one variation out of maybe 10 on that listing, one variation is getting 70% of the ratings, then chances are very high that that variation is the one getting at least the bulk of the sales, right? Maybe not all of them, but certainly a large percentage.
Can you
and
talk about the columns in mobile? I don't think so. But you don't even need to be looking at you don't need to be looking at it in mobile because you'll be scanning stuff with SellerAmp and you'll immediately see the Keepa chart per variation. And it's actually quicker to just hit a scan on the different sizes.
And then last point before we move on, right? So a lot of people miss out on a ton of opportunity because they're only paying attention to like the fastest moving stuff, right? So like obviously the 8 or the 9 and white or black or something like that move the most, but that's also going to have the most competition, right? So while that size 8 white may move 1,000 times, it probably has 50, 60, 70 people on that listing. However, if you scroll down a bit, of course, they just move slower, but maybe the 13 has 2 people on it, sells a couple hundred, and ultimately that's going to value your business, be way more productive because, again, it's not just price point, it's not just velocity, it's also the relative competition, the offer competition within that particular market that's going to dictate the productivity, the value of the product.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. What is something you did when you first started that drastically changed the trajectory of your sales and allowed you to sell full time? Yeah. So I did 32K in like a year of books my first year. And then I did like 40K my first 45 days of online arbitrage. Right. And that was largely due to finding Garrett and Danny and working with these different guys and sourcing and solving these problems together. Right. When I was doing books, I was pretty much on my own. Right. When I was doing OA, we were buying the same products. We were sharing spreadsheets of leads. We were talking through different opportunities. And that made it really fun to do and a lot easier. So that was by far mine.
And I was going to answer that for you because I knew 100% that was going to be your answer. And to kind of add to that, so now I didn't really start getting out there in the community or networking until like 5 years in. But until I started doing that, I was still having to, quote unquote, like beg my suppliers for opportunities, right? I'm always looking for opportunities, always looking for deals, always looking for the next account. And then when I started hanging out with other wholesale sellers, forming our mastermind, like talking to high-level sellers every day, you could hand me $1 million in cash and I could have it spent this week on inventory. Like that's how many opportunities I have access to, only because everybody around me is like bringing those into the fold. So again, it sounds cliche. We say it every single week, but it is a fact 100 because it needs to be said.
And everyone else says it too, right? Everyone else, like.
This is a good question. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see new sellers make that take them out and or gets their account disabled? Yeah, so we could talk about this for a while. Some of the big ones, not knowing your numbers, right? So not buying and not really being in tune with how much you're making over time, because you can just start to squeeze your business out of the market. B, going too aggressive too quickly, right? So either be through a wholesale or OA, buying too much of the wrong things, whether it be jeopardizing your account or just a bad product, ultimately squeezing your cash flow, making it hard to continue to grow, continue to build, continue to buy products. And then C, just taking shortcuts, right? Thinking that wholesale product from Telegram is going to work out, thinking you can ship a whole bunch of stuff late, thinking you could do a lot of the shortcut things that people are talking about on social media that don't actually validate your business long term.
Yep. Telegram. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Yeah. At the end of the day, like really the stuff that builds long-term results is being good at it and having fun with it. Right. And that could be that when you're a beginner is testing small quantity of as many things as possible, where you stay, where you staying up late nights, fixing Miles's capitalization and spelling mistakes on those spreadsheets. We were bullying each other to buy stuff. That's for sure. That's definitely. Where is Garrett's accent from? Rural Connecticut.
Super.
Samuel said, "What a nice dog. What is his breed? He's a golden retriever."
Ooh, okay. Yeah, Keepa looks good on that dog too, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Private label.
New offer count is steady at 1. It's never
That's
going
it.
up.
That's it.
Really? Oh, so you created the listing too?
Oh yeah. I own that listing. Brand registry, transparency, everything.
Nice. Did you have to use PPC or was it just organic growth?
Organic, just popped off from day one.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Sweet. All right. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us this afternoon and search, I guess, this evening. If you guys got any questions, feel free to let us know. Get after it. There's still some Memorial Day deals going on and such as well. Garrett, are you new here in Connecticut?
Dude, there's Connecticut people coming out of the woodworks nowadays.
Hassan's leading the charge.
Yeah, I was from
some of my college
Woolpit,
buddies are from New
Connecticut. It's a
Canaan.
super small town.
You're from Wilton, Garrett?
Wolcott, Wolcott.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I know some people from Wilton. I thought that's what you said.
Cool, sweet. All right, y'all have a great day. We will talk to you guys tomorrow.
George?
Be great. I'm the captain now.
You want to see George?